On Monday, July 7th, little trade overview of the morning session. No trades this morning session. However, we did have a setup, so I'm just going to kind of get into it. This is how we kind of played out on the 2 minute. And yeah, let me just start from the top. So going into the session, I was obviously bearish to our Friday New York lows, bunch of consolidation, and then that was our Sunday gap up. And then once we start respecting our major 15-minute wick, you know, that 0.25, that 0.25, again 0.25, and then we throw in an SMT with ES at this high, if I'm not mistaken, that high and that high, we throw an SMT. So I was looking to short NAS to the downside this morning. If you notice right here, we have one 15-minute fair value gap, and then we also have another 15-minute fair value gap. Why can't I drag it? Okay. We have one 15, then we have another 15. And I wasn't looking for this upper one to get filled. I just wanted this one to get filled and then us start to move lower. However, we painted outside the line just a little bit. And I was willing to let that slide because it's a no news Monday. And, I wasn't expecting any crazy range. Like I said last night in my overview for the week, no news Monday, just basically, seeing where the market wants to move. I know it's going to be high resistance, most likely because of the conditions. And it was, if you go check that video I was talking about yesterday. However, we did expand a downside. So let's just get up to market open real quick. We had market open around here, and we had our nice push up, and then that was our 15-minute basically fill right there. And I wasn't looking for this to get filled, so once I got filled, I was like, okay, I know it's going to be kind of a longer session, just because it got filled, and I know if price really wants to move in a certain direction, it'll fill that lower fair value gap and then start to move away. So I was like, all right, I know it's going to be a little while, got to be patient. Right, what's up? It's okay. She's going crazy. Anyways, put in our first presented. We come down. This right here is our daily wick. These quadrant levels. Upper, first 0.25, our consequent encroachment, another 0.25, and then our lower. And yeah, that we reacted off our daily wick there. So we started to push higher. We took out our buy side liquidity. And once I saw this, I was like, okay, I'm fair enough to look for some shorts. And I took some notes around. Yeah, I started at like 9:30, but I'll get to 9:54. I said keeping an eye on the 2-minute because I wanted to see if the bias basically holds, if our bearish bias holds, because we had two fair value gaps here. So I would like to see this fair value gap be ran through, and we did run through it. However, on the 1 minute, you can see that we had one fair value gap up here, two fair value gap, three. So there was no setup in this move right here. So again, I stayed patient, and then I sat through all this, and then once we came up, we tapped into first presented pre-market, and this kind of threw me off because I'm still bearish and I'm looking for a setup to the downside. But now I kind of think we need to take these relative equal highs. However, we do have this order block right there. We tap into the high of the order block and we start to move lower, and we did not have any SFTs with ES this morning except to the lows. So that's what kind of gave me like, okay, possibly we might want to take these highs again. So that kind of leads into why I missed this 2-minute trade, which was very messy, but it would have worked. Right here you see we put in our first fair value gap right there after we tap into first presented pre-market, first fair value gap after 7 a.m. And then we put in our second fair value gap right here. And what is the rules? Basically, we enter off the bearish candle close off a rejection of that fair value gap if we do not tap into the upper one. So in this case, we create it right here. This bearish close still did not tap into it. This tapped into it, but it was bullish. However, the next bearish candle right there would be the entry. Stop loss would be above the fair value gap high, and then you would target sell side, which would be right there. So, it would have worked. It was very messy, and I was kind of expecting something like this to be high resistance and messy on a no news Monday. And I also basically would have risked about one mini, and I would have definitely took a partial at the relative equal lows right here. And I don't know if that would have be I don't know if I'd be able to afford that basically. So I would probably take 10 micros, but I just wasn't really open to it. But that's a great example of just you have to kind of see through all the price action and then just wait for that double fair value gap, because then that double fair value gap basically it solidifies that price is going to be heavy in a certain direction. And in this case, it was bearish towards our sell side, and we still have not tapped into our sell side. We just reacted off our daily 0.25 level, and then ES kind of dumped more, but there was no setup. And we also wanted to trade NASDAQ because of the bearish SMT, hence being weaker than the ES. So yeah, the strategy would have held up. I'm not mad about anything. No news Monday. I did not want to force anything. And yeah, like around I believe it was around like 10:34 or 10:02. I was like, PA is ruthless consolidation, and then at 10:34 was still consolidation, and then 10:38 would have been hypothetical entry, and then I said basically I'm waiting for the 1050 macro, and then the 1050 macro honestly pushed us straight down into our daily levels. But I'm not mad about it. I'm definitely gonna trade the PM session, because once we have this kind of rage in the AM, the PM session is always gonna be most likely something. So I'm kind of expecting us to take out these lows and look maybe towards these relative equal lows down here for the rest of today. And remember, this kind of was also in line with our weekly bias of trying to get into this weekly fair value gap and take out this daily low. But we will see how it react off this daily wick. So yeah, that's kind of the morning session. I'm definitely going to be trading on the PM session. Gonna take a look. I don't really like this buy side up here at all. We filled in our entire oh yeah, and this also kind of made me not interested for the day, was because if you look, not for the day but for like the AM session, we had our new week opening gap right there, and we didn't fill it overnight. We left it right there. We left relative equal lows, and then we filled it right into New York open. So I was like, all right, well, that's not really a target anymore. So yeah, I was just aiming for that sell side, but it's whatever. Good trade today. It shows that my strategy will still hold up. You just have to kind of look through the chop, look through the mess of price action, especially after a no news Monday holiday. And also, this setup did present itself on the 3-minute, but we did not get that break of structure. We got that break of structure on the 2-minute. So basically, this was our internal liquidity sweep. We swept out all this liquidity right here with our soup up, and we pushed down. This is also a breaker order block, so that's what was kind of holding price down, as well as this fair value gap. So it's nice to know. Would have been a good day. Something I'd improve on is maybe pay attention more when price is consolidating like this, because it was consolidating for a reason, and in this case it was waiting for the macro in order to get moving. So yeah, that is all, and I will be back for the PM session. Y'all have a good day.